Hello there! What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Apocalypse Movies and the Fandalorian Club. I had to do it. It's our last episode talking Obi-Wan Kenobi on Fando. I just had to. I started the show off doing it in episode 1. I got to do it now that he officially said it. It's back in canon. Look, we're here. You guys know what we're here for. Let's be honest. You know what we're here for. That is Brian. That is Gio. I am Jake. This is the Fandalorian Club. Thank you so much for joining us, our Star Wars review show here on the channel. And we are obviously talking about Obi-Wan Part 6, Episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the grand finale. And my goodness, do we got some goodies to talk about. I'm going to go Gio first, man. How are you doing on this Thursday afternoon, man?
Good. I'm still processing this finale. I didn't get a chance to watch it twice, but oh man, it's just I'm gonna save my thoughts for when you ask. I'm good. I'm good. It's a day off. It's hot as hell in Sacramento, but at least I'm not working. So
yeah, only a whopping 90 or 105. Only a whopping 105.
I'm just gonna stay like that.
Yeah. Brian, how about you, man? How's your Thursday?
I am doing swell.
Just swell. That's it.
I mean, they could go back, rewind 45 minutes, and get the same answer on Marvel Rewind.
That's fair. We did just do Rewind. That's fair.
Yeah. Not to mention, my mom is like, "Are you alive? Are you melted? You can come home. I have the AC on." I'm like, "Okay, I'm good. Busy. Got it, Mom."
All right, look, we have quite a bit to discuss and nerd out about and geek out about and break down. So let's just get into it. I want quick, immediate reactions before we dive into specifics on episode 6 of this show. It was kind of teased for a long time as the rematch of the century. And Brian, did it live up to the rematch of the century hype?
Are we swearing on this episode, or are we trying
no swearing. We're trying to be a little nice today.
Holy freaking moly. The Force is more than just throwing rocks, but I mean, if you're going to throw rocks, throw freaking boulders. Am I right?
Yeah, right?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was like the perfect bow to wrap up the whole entire thing. I'm very pleased.
Gio?
specifically about the rematch, it definitely lived up to its promise. The Lucasfilm, I think it was Kathleen. She was talking about the fight leading up to the premiere, and just it's the greatest rematch of the century. I completely agree. It wasn't as flashy as the prequels. It didn't need to be. I felt like it was kind of a hybrid of the two. And yeah, that's all I'll say for now.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite episode of the bunch. I very much enjoyed the show from start to finish. Unlike a lot of people online who are all of a sudden coming out talking about how they didn't like the show.
I saw the opposite of all the people pooping on it, saying how much they loved it.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. No, I like it.
So yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is to a point, But no, I very much enjoyed it. I thought the episode as a whole was fantastic, and we're going to get to the rematch, but we're going to start specifically with Reva, because the episode last week ended with Reva looking at the hologram of Bail talking about Luke and Obi-Wan protecting a boy, and we pick up with Reva as she is now on Tatooine, asking about a farmer named Owen and looking to find this little boy named Luke. Now again, it's not specified on whether or not she's hunting Luke because she knows Luke is Anakin's child, or if she just knows that Obi-Wan is protecting a boy. I think it's that as well. It seems a little bit more clear that direction than it does the other. But either way, she is in full. At this moment, she's in full hunting mode, trying to hunt down Luke Skywalker, and not letting Owen or Beru get in her way. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I thought
she was going to kill him.
Well, I mean, really, I think that joke's old, Brian. But to that point, knowing Owen and Beru and Luke's fate, I thought the way that it was shot and the storyline of Reva hunting Luke was done very well.
They're freaking badasses.
I thought Owen and Beru were awesome. I loved spending time with them. I also love that Beru was the more confident and positive one than Owen is. He's much more of the secluded, kind of private, protective type. And Beru's like, nah, bro, like we're getting down and dirty. I'm not leaving. She's coming to our home. We're protecting our home. And I love that. And I thought the whole fight sequence and everything about that was really cool. Doing what they can to protect him, and then ultimately, obviously, ending with Reva not killing Luke, obviously. But I mean, what do we think of all this? The Reva storyline, because I want to save the big stuff for last, clearly. But what do we think about Reva's storyline and kind of how it wrapped up, how it finished, the hunting of Luke, and then eventually giving back Luke after finding him and knocking him out, etc. Gio, I'll let you start, man. What did you think about the finishing touches on Reva's storyline for now?
Well, I thought the last 2 episodes redeemed her arc. I was one of the people who was critical early on about, her character and why she is the way that she is. I would have liked a little bit more in the earlier episodes, but we got it at the end. I do like how her arc closed with choosing to not be like Anakin, and how the filmmakers, Deborah Chow, and those involved managed to relay the similarities to the audience of Order 66, and now here she is about to take down a youngling. I did get a little bit, I guess, irritated about how it kept going back and forth between the Reva and what was going on, and Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Like, I was clearly way more invested in Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I mean, that's why we watched this show. So I wasn't a fan of how they chose to edit that all together. But if we're talking about her arc, I would say these last 2 episodes really did a lot, to the point where I wouldn't mind seeing more of her character, whether she voices in animation or returns in hopefully a sequel or a spin-off show or something like that. I will have no problem acknowledging my early thoughts at the same time, saying by the end I became a fan of this character.
That's good to hear, because I think a lot of people are actually probably in the same boat. It took 3, maybe 4 episodes to get on board with what she was doing, her motivations, and then episode 5 and 6 came around. We really started to understand her character a little bit more,
right?
Because of the backstory reveal and everything. I will agree with you on the going back and forth between the two, solely because I just wanted to see the fight in one long string. Like, legit, right. That is really the only reason why that I complained about it. But it was all done because of timing. Which is funny, because
they didn't do that in Revenge of the Sith, though.
I know, it's the same thing in Revenge. I get that. It's all done because of timing. To show that when the fight is over and done with, now Obi-Wan has to get in the ship and go to Luke as Reva is hunting him down. It's just all about kind of lining it all up rather than doing it in separate pieces. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you on Reva. I think that her character got stronger these last 2 episodes as the dogs start barking. Brian, take it away.
She is one of my favorite newest characters since Disney has started Star Wars. I should say live action, because I do love the animated characters. I would put her in potentially top 5 of new live action Disney characters for me. Her story was so well done, in my opinion. I loved the way she you could just pick up on her anger and slowly see things that you could tell just like didn't fly with her. Like, she wasn't completely evil. She wasn't like the Grand Inquisitor level. Like, I will say, out of
she was always fighting herself. always fighting herself.
It's like bad versus evil, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I know a lot of people hate a redemption arc. I think this is one of the best redemption arcs that Star Wars has done because she never truly seemed gone.
She never fully killed anybody.
She seemed lost.
It's very different than Ben Solo or Anakin, right? Where they did like terrible acts.
Yeah.
She always had like sort of a balance to her where she was always like
she was no saint. She was chopping people's arms off because they looked funny.
Of course.
Oh yeah, she's done her damage.
It always felt like after learning who she was and where she came from. But when you go back and watch, it always just felt like she was doing it to just survive.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't there because she wanted to be. She was doing it to just survive what she was going through. And I think that's a big kudos to them being able to tell the story the way they did. Because if you don't tell it that way, then the redemption may seem off a little bit. Brian, that's a really good point.
And like I said, Callus is a great one.
That's too. Good, Andy. That's a good comparison.
That's why I kind of threw live action out there. Best new characters because there's some good animated characters. Moses Ingram was so good as this character. Like, I will be screaming in excitement if they announce any type of spinoff with her in any capacity. Book, comic, TV show, live action, animated. I need to see more of this character.
We're gonna get more of her. I just don't know where. That's all.
I hope so. I truly. It's hard to say compare like anything to, like Obi-Wan and Vader are here, so it's like you can't really say like this is the best part of the whole entire show because at the end of the day you still have Obi-Wan and Vader. Mm-hmm. Excluding that, she's the best part of the whole entire show to me. And that's
I will challenge you. I think Leia passes Reva. Only because Leia has so much more history too. We know where she's going.
Crap, I forgot about Leia.
It's all good.
No, you make a good point because the storytelling in this is the greatest, possibly the best. Outside of The Force Awakens, this I think might be the best storytelling that we've seen as far as furthering Star Wars lore and just connecting things and making things so. This show was about making things so much more important and so much more meaningful. Like, there are so many things that they did in this show that is just so big moving forward. I'm sorry, we started with Reva.
You're good.
I love Reva. I immediately bought her Funko Pop after because it's just awesome. I love her character, and
Brian, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to kind of bring up is, so we've had 3 Skywalker films. We've had Rogue One. We've had Solo. We've had 4 seasons of Rebels. We've had a season 7 of Clone Wars. We've had Bad Batch, Mandalorian, obviously,
Visions,
Boba Fett, Visions. Right? There's a lot of good storytelling in there, and a lot of it is a lot of new stuff. It's not connected to the Skywalker saga, right? Some of it is, but not all of it. It's hard to say that it might be the best, but I will say this. We've talked about for a long time with Star Wars that we don't like when it makes the galaxy smaller, right? We continue to go back to the same characters over and over and over again. This is the way you go back to characters that we've met before. This is the exact way you tell a story about characters we've met before, right? A completely new version of Leia. She's still Leia, but she's way younger and a way different point in her life. Obi-Wan, a completely different version from not just the prequel, but the A New Hope version as well. We have 3 different versions of Obi-Wan to look at now, right? The prequel version, this one who was completely shattered and broken to finding the light again, and then the wise older gentleman we saw in A New Hope. And same thing with Vader, right? Like we see Vader at a younger version when Episode 3 happens. He turns. It's a very quick, manipulated version. The original trilogy, it's a much more older, wiser version of the character who, does things a certain way and is the most villainous person in the galaxy. Whereas right now, we are meeting a completely angry and violent human being who is using every source of darkness he possibly can to keep pushing himself forward. And that showed in this episode is that, whether it was now or years ago, Anakin Skywalker that we know is completely dead. He's gone. Vader has been he's taken over. Obviously Anakin comes back, but it's the balancing of being able to tell something new, but also give us the same thing that we've recognized before, but in a new way. And that's something that Star Wars has struggled with. And I know that it's the best of the 3, but The Force Awakens battled people for years about it's just a new hope. It's just a new hope. That's fine, but they did it in a little bit of a different way. There are some different elements to that movie that don't make it like A New Hope. And so I really appreciate that they took something on that was so incredibly important and almost to a way it was almost going to be like a failure if you didn't do it perfectly, because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, right? Like, it's a story we've been waiting so long for to see, McGregor back and Hayden Christensen and just all these people that have been part of Star Wars for so long. And I think they did it great. I think it worked out perfectly. The addition of Reva really worked out in its favor. The addition of the Inquisitors in the time that they had, right? They weren't like a major focus, but they played their part very well. And the focus was always on Obi-Wan and Vader. Since Vader stepped on screen, it was always going to be Obi-Wan and Vader. The second that happened, and I liked that the story, that was mainly the storyline that we took out of everything that was happening with Tala and the beginning of the rebellion with the group that they were with, etc. At the end of the day, it was always Obi-Wan and Vader. And I'm glad that was kind of like pushed, because that's what it always needed to be. So yeah, I think it's a really fantastic way to do the show and to go back in time and tell something that we've seen plenty of times before, but in a new way. So
one more thing about Reva, and let me know if you guys feel this way or at least understand where people are coming from. One complaint that I actually find myself siding with was how she was left alive by both Vader and the Grand Inquisitor after what she did. I mean, once she revealed her true self, she's no longer an Inquisitor. She's a Force sensitive, not exactly a Jedi, but has been trained. Like, did you guys have any issues with Vader or the Grand Inquisitor keeping her alive and not just killing her?
I think it was more or less they just left her for dead, and they didn't expect her to leave.
I literally... Oh, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead. Because I had to find it anyway.
I think it's kind of almost poetic in a way, the fact that... what does the Grand Inquisitor say? Revenge is...
is a dish best served cold.
No. Revenge is a powerful, like... Motivator, whatever. Yeah. Something like that. Whatever the line was. They, intended to kill her. I think he kind of almost did it in a means of, I'm not going to kill you flat out. You're going to die here, in a brutal way. And he kind of drops that line, and she kind of goes to use that line that revenge
is the best reason to stay alive.
Okay, thank you. Revenge is the best. I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
Maybe. But, yeah, that doesn't sound right either.
Anyways, she went with the intention of doing whatever she did, and at the end, she chose to not continue on that path. But I don't know. I loved it.
To to back up, Ryan, I literally just had this conversation with my buddy yesterday. We had a full-on text thread. We've been having it for like 24 hours now about this. But he said also kind of pissed off, extremely dumb that Vader would just leave her there. This dude went around killing kids, but he didn't make sure that she was fully dead. Right. And I go, yes, but he's also all about suffering, specifically with his Inquisitors. He doesn't want them to die a quick death if they failed him. He wants it to linger and be painful. So I can see why he would gut her and then leave her to be. And I said, like Obi-Wan said, his eyes are completely on him. He's blinded by Obi-Wan being present, which is probably why he didn't fully kill her. He has a different motivation than what we saw.
In the comics, he left the Grand Inquisitor as a tortured soul, literally.
He's completely focused on making people suffer. That is the goal. And him gutting her, and obviously not bleeding out because it's a lightsaber, but hoping that she suffers a long and painful death was the goal. That was 100% the goal.
All I know is if you stab me in the chest, you better pray to God I'm dead, because I'm coming back and I'm going to return the favor. But
okay,
hold on. To that, I think she just was like, this is going to be an endless cycle unless I just stop.
Yeah.
At that point, that's one of the reasons why she didn't kill Luke, is just like, what am I doing? Like, this is just dumb at this point. Like,
I also love the moment between her and Obi-Wan too. That moment where he was like talking her down and basically saying, you're free to do what you want and be who you are now.
Yeah.
I mean, they left her for dead, assuming she's dead. They're not going to come after her.
She can do what she wants now. She can leave her entire life behind and go start something new.
I've been waiting to say this to Gio just because I know it's going to make him go on a spin. What if she's Finn's mom?
Really?
She's not Finn's mom.
I know. I'm
stopping that right now. We've done. No. I'm cutting it off. Nope.
Poor
We've
John
been on the show for 22 minutes right now, and we have not talked about one of the greatest lightsaber duels that we will ever witness in all of Star Wars. We got to talk about this, you guys, because this is what the entire show has been about: is the rematch, the full rematch, anyway. Of Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader. And there's obviously build-up, right? Obi-Wan, he puts himself in a shuttle and he separates himself from the group to make sure, Vader follows him, which he does because Obi-Wan knows Vader very, very well. He's driven by one thing and one thing only. And ultimately it leads to them on a planet by themselves. I love that line by Vader as well, where he goes, "I will do this myself." I'm taking him on alone. So perfect. But this lightsaber fight, man, woo! We got some things to talk about with this thing.
And you guys said he wouldn't be moving fast, and
I never said that.
Like that.
No,
yes,
I never
did.
Vader? No, I didn't.
He's going to be more of a reserved, like, strike type person.
I said that. I didn't say that about Vader.
Well, I think Jake meant you're not going to see what you saw in Revenge of the Sith, because why would they do that again? Where it's literally like flashy, right? It's just a whole lot of twirling and
Vader's he's mobile. I never said he wouldn't be mobile. There's no way I would never say he would.
I'm pretty sure you guys said he was not going to be very mobile.
No, not after seeing episode 3 or the show or whatever. No, absolutely not. I would never say that. Anyway, we got in my opinion one of my favorite things in Star Wars in the last 10 years. Not just the fighting, but the dialogue between the two of them. Obviously, the one scene that we can talk about is them talking to each other at the end. But
that scene is just...
I'm telling you, it's one of the best things in Star Wars in the last 10 years. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen Star Wars ever do, is just after the fight, after the blood, the sweat, going at each other for that long, and then having that conversation where the complete descent into darkness is fully realized, is one of the greatest things that this franchise has ever done. And that was the whole point of this entire show, was to do that moment, because Obi-Wan needed to know. He needed to know that his friend was fully dead. And Anakin Skywalker is fully gone, and Obi-Wan now knows. And that moment where he realizes it and he puts that saber down and says, "Goodbye, Darth," was chef's effing kiss. It was such an amazing finish to it. And we talked about it last week of, oh, is he going to fake his death? Or are they going to walk each other? Like, obviously, because we know that they both go on and all this type of stuff. But I don't know if we ever talked about, like, Obi-Wan just putting the saber down and walking away. Like, what more of an Obi-Wan Kenobi move can you make than doing that? And so I think that from start to finish, the second that that they went at it, with the, and I pulled up some images, but the second this happened,
I
it was
screamed.
just, so did I. I
screamed.
was losing it when this happened. The classic Obi-Wan pose, right? And then you get the moment where Obi-Wan walks away and he says goodbye, Darth, and Vader's yelling Obi-Wan with the distorted voice. I mean, there's so much stuff in between when talked about, but it was 100% the rematch of the century and more, in my opinion. So much more.
My favorite part of that whole entire scene, and it has literally like zero importance, is when he is talking to Obi-Wan with his mask broken.
Yes.
How he is talking, do you notice the whole time his hue is blue?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second he says, I
It's
killed
this.
Anakin,
That to that.
and then it changes to red. I was like, get the hell out of here. Like, they had a blue hue the second it was smashed, and he's talking to him. The second he goes, like, I killed Anakin, then it turns red. I was like, holy cow. Like, that is some genius level thinking. And just, like, it was incredible. Oh.
A really well done artistic choice. Yeah.
Andy, I'm jealous you got to see it in the theater.
Wait, you went with?
Yeah, he got
Good
to
for
see
you.
like a screening of the 5 and 6 episode.
Why didn't we rent out a theater, man? I guarantee you 10, 12 of us would have went.
But
I'll pull up some
Thank you.
images as we talk
thank you,
about it.
Samir. Visual storytelling is a term.
I'll pull up some images as we continue to talk about it. But yeah, obviously we have the stance by Obi-Wan. He's getting back into his groove, right? He's fully back into being who we think who he is. And then one of my favorite shots of the entire fight was this, the close up of the sabers with the crossguard in the eye of Vader. Just a visually stunning shot. Here's them two going at it with the sabers, and then we have this moment too, where Obi-Wan lifts the rocks up and starts banging away to Darth Vader with these stones, and just goes ham on Vader and makes him go off balance and all this stuff. This is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is all after he gets buried.
Yeah.
And so obviously, Vader, and I started at the very beginning, but Vader had the high ground and it didn't help him this time. It still did not help him, which I love that moment too, because he called Obi-Wan master for one last time in that moment, which was really, really cool. And then we see that moment where Obi-Wan uses the Force. He's been holding it the entire time, which I thought was gorgeous. And then we see the flashbacks, or not the flashbacks, but the scenes of Luke and Leia, of him thinking of them, and then the all the voices in the head of past Anakin and stuff, where he's able to get out of there. But yeah, I mean, it's what a way to end it, right? Like, we've been anticipating it from the very beginning, obviously, but and we've seen them fight plenty of times before, but both of them were in such a different way than they had been in the past. Like, Obi-Wan, he's always been considered the greatest defender when it comes to a saber, but he was using some incredible offensive moves in this fight. And Vader, obviously being Vader, he was using raw emotion and anger, trying to go straight, just absolute hard at Obi-Wan. But I love when that moment where the whole fight just flips and Obi-Wan's using the bottom of his hilt to bash in his chest. And that's where it's all downhill from Vader. Like, what a dope ass move from someone who clearly knows what he's doing and using all of Anakin's weakness against him. And gee, I know we talked about it last week, but Obi-Wan whooped that ass. He whooped that ass.
Yeah, I was expecting him to lose, and I was clearly wrong. Well, I mean, he did lose the first round, but second round was a KO. The whole thing with Obi-Wan, using the Force to lift the boulders took me back to Revenge of the Sith with Palpatine using the Senate chairs to smash Yoda. Which, by the way, we saw Palps. Hey,
We did see Palps. I have a screenshot of Mr. Palps. There he is. Ian
there he
McDermott
is.
popping up again.
Hey, man, still can't believe he has a granddaughter. What elevates this though for me is the emotional weight of the fight, and you really feel it at the end when the two of them are, you know, talking, and especially how Darth Vader's voice goes back and forth between James Earl Jones and Hayden. That was really well done.
Let me pull up one of these images again. Pull up. There you go. You could see the broken mask a lot better in that one.
Oh man,
You can see at one point, very slightly, when it's the blue light, a tear coming out of his eye. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he knows. He knows. First off, Obi-Wan is right. Obi-Wan's been right, and that's going to sit with him for a
That
long
shot
time.
is heartbreaking.
Ewan, yeah. The two of them did not miss a beat. It's up there with Revenge of the Sith at the end, where Obi-Wan is saying, "You were my brother," and this is right up there. I haven't felt this type of emotion in a Star Wars movie since then. And that's not an easy thing to pull off 17, 18 years later. And, it left me sitting in silence after it was all done. And I'm just like, wow, like I never thought I'd be able to experience that again, what I felt back in 2005. And that's what took it over the top for me. And it was beautiful. Tragic, beautiful.
I agree.
The talking in between him saying sorry killed me. I was like, ugh, because he didn't want. He was thrown into this position. Like, Qui-Gon dies, makes him promise to train him, and he's like, dude, I just became a Jedi like 5 seconds ago. And then
he's not even one.
I know. And it's just like all this, and he's just like, I'm sorry, like, for everything. And it's just like, oh, you're just sitting there like, it's not your fault. Like, it's just, it just breaks your heart. And you're just like, you feel so bad in that situation. And then freaking Anakin saying, I killed him. And you're just like, God damn it. Like,
yeah, that was
Anakin,
tough.
stop being an ass. Like,
I'll back up real quick on what Gio said about the whole not feeling it since episode 3. This was the last time I felt this kind of emotion. Was when Ahsoka and Vader fought.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously very similar. It mirrors each other, right? It's a very similar situation.
And we talk about the symbolism.
Yeah. And I don't know if Gio recognizes this, but so Gio, so because he hasn't watched Rebels, that's why. So in this episode, obviously, right, like Obi-Wan goes after Vader and he breaks the left side of Vader's mask. You can see the left eye.
Yeah.
In Rebels, because I know you don't care about spoilers, when Ahsoka and Vader fight,
I've seen the stills, yeah.
Ahsoka rips off the right side of the mask. Now people are putting those together and then also adding Obi-Wan took the left, Ahsoka took the right, but it was only Luke Skywalker that fully redeemed Anakin Skywalker and brought the helmet fully on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the apprentice, the master, and the son.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
That's great. See, that's how you know Filoni, Favreau, Deborah Chow, they've been paying attention. And this is a different conversation. I'd love to see them back for the second season. There's talk about it already. You got to imagine they're having conversations right now.
I just don't see how you do it, though.
I see something happening with Vader. I don't see something happening with Obi-Wan.
Neither do I. Like, I don't see him.
You have to. The way it ended, you have to.
No, so here's why I don't see it happening with Obi-Wan is I think I think he's accepted what's happened, obviously, right? He's able to
Right.
move on and do his thing. But I don't think and obviously Bale said, if you ever need me, or he said to Bale, if you ever need me, you know where to find me. That's fine. But as far as Obi-Wan and Vader goes, that is 100% the final time they ever met before A New Hope.
Right. Yeah.
100% locked, loaded, in the chamber, done. Because that last scene with Palpatine specifically is very, very important. It's very important to the history of these characters.
Palpatine almost kind of like it was like, you're still a bad guy, right? Like,
Well,
so
not just that, but like
he gave him like just a little like
100%, and because he knows,
bad, right?
So it was clear that in that shot of Palpatine and Vader that Palpatine is still finding ways to manipulate Vader. He is still manipulating him to this day because he knows that if Vader and Obi-Wan were to reconnect in some way or to continue to have conversations, Obi-Wan could bring him back to the light. He knows that. So he's telling them, essentially threatening him, saying, hey, if you don't let this go, you're done. I'm letting you go. I'm moving on. I'm getting someone else. And we saw that in the comic books. That happens in the comic books. Those conversations happen, not to that extent, but they do. He says, like, I'm not afraid to get someone else. But he's doing it because he knows how important Vader is to him. He knows how important Vader is to the overall scheme of the Empire and his plans. So he has to continue to manipulate him, which is why I think there's a great opportunity to tell more stories with Vader, because there's 10 years of manipulation and descending into more darkness and doing other things that Palpatine doesn't like, that Vader doesn't like. As far as Obi-Wan goes, he may be doing stuff on other planets, but he's fully accepted being a part of the Tatooine culture and everything and living there in his new hut, etc. But 100% no more Jedi fighting, etc. around the galaxy. At least I don't believe anyway.
You can't tease us at the end with what it's going to happen next between him and Qui-Gon, which I
can see that happening, but Vader and Obi-Wan are not meeting again.
Yeah, I was so nervous.
Look at my boy!
There he is.
Look at him! He looks so good.
Man,
I was kind of hoping he'd still have the hole in his chest.
But really?
He's probably like, why are all these Jedi surviving?
Take his ass out of this.
These stab wounds and whatnot. But I know. No, but I mean, just first off, I was pausing. Like, how many minutes are left in this fucking episode? He better show up, and he did.
When he walked away, I was like, no way, that's how they're ending it. There were multiple times when I went, oh my God, they're going to really end this without Qui-Gon.
So it's funny. We kept the entire time we have been talking about Qui-Gon's going to come in and whip him back to shape. It all makes sense as to why he showed up when he showed up. Yeah. It 100% makes sense that he would show up after Obi-Wan having to let everything go. That he had to get through all of that trauma to be able to see all that. I don't know why it never crossed my mind and everybody else's mind, but it completely 1000% makes sense that after everything he went through, he had to let go of what happened to Anakin, to Padme, to all of that stuff, and realize that it wasn't fully his fault what happened, and then he's able to do that. And I love that moment because it, as much as I would love to see more of him, it was the perfect cameo. The absolute perfect cameo.
Gordon, yeah, that was him. He let out a thing saying, I'd rather die than let anyone else play Qui-Gon.
Yeah, it's 100% him.
Yeah.
It was either me or him, and they only wanted to spell the name with one N. So
yeah. He said something today. They literally were like, I think he said like no one else was gonna play him, so he's like, I was gonna do it. I'll have to find the quote.
It makes me think about
He looks so good. Look at him. That dude can still whip some ass.
And on that note, it makes me think about missed opportunities. Like when Liam Neeson was doing all these action movies and Taken 1, 2, and 3 and all that. Couldn't they have done? I just wish Disney Plus existed 10 years ago, or
right?
you could have done a Qui-Gon prequel or something. De-age him a little bit. He can move. Just he would have been down.
Here's
But
the quote. He said, "I certainly didn't want anyone else playing Qui-Gon Jinn, and I wanted to show my respect for George and that mythical world that he created." That was his quote.
Love it.
it's a good quote.
Yeah.
I do have a nitpick with the fighting between Vader and Obi-Wan.
Here we go.
I was not a fan of the aerial shots where it kept cutting and from a distance.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed with the aerial shots.
You were okay. That's
Oh
fine.
my
It's
god,
just-
I
it
love
was-
seeing the sabers from the distance and like hearing them clash as we're like hundreds of feet away in the sky. Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it.
I was fine with that. This was one of the first times this season that I was fine with the camera. In this whole season, that has been my biggest gripe, is that it felt like it was being recorded like this. And this one, I had no issues with this episode.
The hand camera, whether it was a hand camera or not, but the style was perfectly executed and needed for this specific sequence. It added so much weight to Obi-Wan and Hayden in this scene because of the up close, getting really up close and personal with them and seeing them move. Like when Vader lifted his head for the first time and we see that crack in the helmet and seeing the camera move back and forth is like, we're seeing it from Obi-Wan's perspective, right? And then we're looking at Obi-Wan from Vader's perspective, and that's when it really works. That is 100% when it really works.
As long as there was no Michael Bay drone shots and whatnot. Can you imagine?
Like I said, that was my biggest. If we had to pick complaints about this show, number one would be for the most part, hated. I was like sometimes like legitimately getting nauseous from like the way they were filming certain scenes. This episode, I had no problem with it. It worked. My number two gripe would be that we never got to see them in their Clone Wars outfits. That's the only. I just really badly wanted to see Obi-Wan in that like stormtrooper-ish, like clone trooper.
Well,
type
I mean,
armor.
yeah, it's just a little armor, yeah.
I know. But
Season
it's so
2.
cool. It's so
Season
cool.
2.
So, other than that, I really don't have any gripes. I think that these were some of the best new characters in a show.
Tala is one of my favorite characters.
Tala was phenomenal.
Tala was good.
Vivian.
Reva. I would have liked to have seen more of Fifth Brother. I mean, you cast what's his name, Sun Kang. Like,
We'll
he
see
just
them
kind of
again.
disappeared again.
We're 100% gonna see the Inquisitors again.
What if in the spinoff they hunt down Reva?
No, because I think they're gonna believe Reva's dead. I think Reva's in the clear. She's 100% in the clear. I do think though at some point we'll see whether it's a show fully focused on them or something else. I think we're gonna see the Grand Inquisitor, Fifth Brother, Fourth Sister again, 100%. Because they made the outfits and I think they have the prosthetics. Why not use them again? I think that we're going to see them again.
It'd be interesting because with those characters, we do know. Actually, I don't know about the Fourth Sister. But
This is the first time we ever met her, so we don't know what happens to
so
her.
outside of her, we know how they all die.
Uh-huh.
Where their like end point is.
They all die.
Well, yeah, they didn't get to
all Inquisitors died, Gio.
They don't. We know they didn't make it to
Fifth Brother, man. That's my brother.
I'm not saying he dies tomorrow, but
No, yeah. So we all know that they didn't make it into A New Hope. So like, there's like it's a limited amount, but I'm curious like how and where you could use them minus the fourth sister, because I mean there's a good amount.
If anybody could figure it out, it's baloney.
I would love to see the ninth sister in live action.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, at this point, as far as stuff that we know about, if they didn't create a whole new story, would be a Cal Kestis story, and the Inquisitors are hunting him down. You know, like that's as far as what we know currently happening. But other than that, it would be something completely new. I mean, we could see something prior to this show where they're hunting Jedi, or maybe the formation of them. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Maybe the formation of the Inquisitors.
God, if you give me the formation, I will literally...
That would be pretty cool. The formation of them coming together, like the Grand Inquisitor pledging himself.
That would be dark as crap, because
that would be pretty crazy.
Because literally, that would be so dark, because they become Inquisitors by Vader torturing them to the dark side.
I mean, I'm spitballing on some ideas of when we can see them, but I do think we'll see the Inquisitors again. I don't think you cast Rupert Friend just for like an episode and a half. I think you cast him to play the Grand Inquisitor for for a couple things. Right. So I do think we'll see him again.
Gordon, that was just Harloff. He's the only person.
Anything else that we want to talk about, gentlemen?
Yes. How about the Obi-Wan Leia farewell and going back to Bail Organa again?
The description of the parents.
And Tala getting the gun holster.
Yeah.
Oh, Leia getting Tala's gun holster.
That was Tala's gun holster, because they focused in on that. And yeah, so thank you. But just Jake, you mentioned it, you know, the describing the parents and what made the mother and the father special. And you know, he's like, I wish I could tell you more, and she's like, you don't have to, and looks at, you know, Bail, and what's the lady's name?
Bail's wife?
Yeah.
Queen Jake, what is it?
Anyway,
I know it. It's literally in there.
So do I. It starts with a B. It starts with a
B.
Breya. Yeah, Breya. Thank you.
I beat you, Andy.
No, I'll give it to Andy, because Andy typed it before it came through. Yeah.
It was just so emotional right there. Like, we thought we had it all with Vader and Obi-Wan. Now, we weren't done yet. We had those two, and it was beautiful. You know, just again that actress, Vivian.
Yeah.
Hell of a job. There is potential there. I mean, I put that up there with Daphne Keane from Logan, right there, as far as like just a phenomenal performance from such a young actress, a young talent. Yeah. So.
Can I say, what? There was a part where like, Jake, where was it in the episode where one of them said like, I have someone that wants to see you? Was it Breya that says it?
No, Bail said it right before Obi-Wan popped out.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to lie. I know this is obviously a long shot. I freaked out and thought it was going to be Ransom Casterfo for a half second.
What the hell?
I thought maybe we're setting up for a spinoff or something. And I got really excited because like that character is so good. But
that is so out of left field.
Okay, whatever. But to what Gio is saying, they could literally, if they wanted to, tell Princess Leia stories for years.
Yeah.
Using that actress. Because she is young. And
I don't need that, though.
You wouldn't want to see her go through like the young senator and stuff.
You wouldn't want to see one limited series?
No, because I know what I know what she did. I've seen it in the books. We saw a bit of it in Rebels. Like, I know. Yeah, I don't need to see it.
You get to see her meet Holdo.
I want to see new stuff. I want to see new stuff.
You're a grouch because you didn't want to see Vader. You didn't want.
That is not what I said. You are completely putting words in my mouth.
Any of the fun stuff.
You are completely putting words in my mouth. I never said I didn't want to see Vader.
You said you wanted to move on from these and not see Vader anymore.
Yep, that's exactly. Yep, everybody, you heard it here first. Brian knows what I said. He's 100% right. That's exactly what I said.
I screamed when I saw the Ventress ship. I know she's. Yeah, let's just say I screamed. But yeah, I'm not opposed to a young Leia junior senator type stuff.
Well, there was a rumor that was last week saying that Millie Bobby Brown apparently was talking to Lucasfilm about a role. So,
see, I don't know if I want her. I would rather kind of just stick with this younger girl.
What else can she do right now, though, Vivian? She's great, but what else could she do right now as a 10-year-old?
Let her age a little bit, and then we'll come back to her.
Yeah, like sign a contract. In 3 years, we'll start production on Alderaan something. I don't know. There's
Alderaan.
just more to explore with that.
Anyway.
Also, that kid that played Luke is so like he's
the meeting between Obi-Wan and Luke.
Oh yeah, hello there. His he looked like such a little dorky kid that like is perfect for Luke. Like 100%. I was just like, this kid looks like a little dork from nowhere and is perfect.
I love that he still had the ship in his hand.
Uh-huh.
Obi-Wan gave him the ship. Obviously, the meeting is extremely important. But I love that Obi-Wan has kind of come full circle and he's saying, you know what, Owen, you're right. You know, the future is the future. I'm gonna let it be, and whatever happens, happens. Obviously, we know what happens, and unfortunately, Owen and Brew meet very, very violent deaths.
I see. After this, though,
they put up a fight.
Yeah,
they put up a
100%.
Fight. Okay, over under 5 stormtroopers that they killed before they died.
Oh, they at least. I'm gonna say like 7 or 8. Like they
over.
Okay.
I was thrown off by just Peru's attitude about the whole situation. I mean, she was ready. She was like Emily Blunt from what's the Ryan Johnson movie?
Looper,
yeah. Just like guns ready.
She was when he's like, "We need to get out of here." She's like, "Psst, I'm gonna shoot him from here." Like, not even. Like, don't even.
Yeah, she was like, "Lock and load, B. Here's a gun.
Yeah.
Get yourself ready, bro."
And they put up a good fight, kicking over flower pots and stuff, and down crates, and
That might have been my favorite stupid part, where he just kicks the crate at her, and she's just like, "What did you expect that to do?"
Although I will say, Owen's a pretty bad shot because he missed the shot that surprised her.
Yeah, well,
he could have shot her right in the back, but he missed.
Yeah.
So,
but you know that they may have gone out in a blaze of glory, but they went out.
They went out in a real blaze, hardcore blaze, because we saw skeletons.
Yeah.
It's so sad to think that those two died like that after all that.
But it kind of it did give them a little more respect, which was kind of nice, because I mean they're not worthless characters, but like they weren't huge. Like they were served 15-20 minutes of a movie. So yeah, I liked it.
All right, any final thoughts on the entire Obi-Wan series, guys, before we wrap up this version of Fandalorian Club?
I'm still trying to decide if it's the best series over Mandalorian.
I would probably put Mando over this, but I would put this final episode over many, if not all, the episodes of Mandalorian. As a show, though, I'll take Mando over as a show.
I go back and forth between Mando and Obi-Wan, but bottom line for me is just the emotional experience of this finale. I'll say it again, just being able to capture what I felt 17 years ago, and just literally the same emotions, and just because we grew up on the prequels. No matter how much hate they get, at least for myself, they're going to hold a special place in my heart. And that right there is just, it's worth it all. It's worth watching this series again from start to finish. And they did good.
Brian?
My last thing is what Andy said earlier. This one right here. All the best live action stuff has been done by women directors, except for maybe Taika's episode. I love Taika's episode. Guy literally had stormtroopers missing, shooting a can, and he punched Baby Yoda multiple times. I love that episode. What?
As I can see, that's why Patty Jenkins needs to direct Rogue Squadron. That way we can continue this trend.
Let's give that movie to Joseph Kosinski. Just saying.
I know it. No, give him pod racing.
I would not disagree with you. I would lose it. I would lose it if that happened.
That would be incredible. Yeah.
I got a script.
Jade, submit it.
My thing is, I hope this is not the last we see of Deborah Chow.
It's not.
I hope that she has a long future in the Star Wars.
She's getting a movie next.
I'm not opposed to it, but
she's 100% getting a movie.
I hope she has a very prosperous future in the Star Wars realm, because that chick can tell a story visually, and whoever these story writers were, please stick around. I'm sure Filoni and Favreau were a good portion of it, but whoever helped write this, they need to stay for a while, because it was.
If not, she'll hop on Marvel. She'll be fine.
But yeah, I just can't wait to talk to Jacob about it. That's, I think, the one person, because he is the Obi-Wan Kenobi stand. So when that day comes, I can't wait to see it. But until then, bring on Andor.
Yeah, or the next time that you will see the Fandalorian Club will be late August when Andor comes. The next Star Wars series, so we'll take about a month and a half, 2 months off. And then we'll be back covering Andor, and that's 12 episodes, everybody. So you'll see our faces for 12 straight weeks.
3 months.
That would be quite a bit of Star Wars content for us. So, but yeah, no, as far as Obi-Wan goes, I really enjoyed it. Ultimately, it was all about the Obi-Wan and Anakin stuff, or Obi-Wan and Vader stuff, and I loved every second of Obi-Wan and Vader, whether they were together or separate. And then the grand finale of them getting together and having that conversation, and Anakin, fully being killed at that moment was fantastic. And I think that it ended exactly how it should have. And I think everyone involved in seeing, Ewan McGregor back and Hayden Christensen back, all of them back to play these roles again was pretty magical. I would love to see them back in some capacity. Don't know how or when or why, but I would love to see it again. And I can't wait for Star Wars to be back with Andor, because Andor's right up my alley when it comes to storytelling with some spy, espionage, thriller stuff. So, that's going to wrap up this version of the Fandalorian Club, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you who watch each and every week. Samir, Andy, John, Star Drew. I know Rachel's popped in here and there. Curtis, Gordon. I'm trying to scroll through the comments, see if I missed anybody. I don't think I missed anybody. But again, to everyone who's watched live, whether you've commented or not, and then, of course, watch back on the replay and listened as well, to all of our audio listeners, thank you so much as well for joining us and finding us and being a part of this. We really, really enjoy this and are excited to continue this here in just a few months. Yes, Andy, more Haja and Roken. I agree. Love to see them back in some capacity. Didn't get to talk much about them, but their roles could definitely be expanded into other things. That would be a lot of fun. Before we get out, let's do some quick plug-in. Brian, where can everybody find you online?
Be of all seen on Twitter and Instagram. A certain point of view if you like the Schmodown. And Marvel Rewind on, let's just say, Wednesdays.
Gio?
Real quick, I'm about 3/4 of the way through Dark Disciples.
Yes.
So I can't wait to, talk a little bit about that whenever the opportunity arises. On Twitter at FandomUnited21. On here, obviously, Tuesdays, Apocalypse Now, our movie hangout show. This past week was what we've been watching, and I think that's something that we should definitely be doing more often. And on my own channel, Fandom United, I got some DC stuff up there, so check it out.
And you can find myself at Qui-Gon Jake, 2 N's, because someone else took it before I did. And that guy is Liam Neeson, who's officially back in Star Wars. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, everybody, we really, really appreciate it. We hope you have a great rest of your week. And again, like Gio said, Tuesdays, right here on the channel for Apocalypse Now. And until then, may the Force be with you.